Oh my god, I've just realised I didn't unmute my mic. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm just so tired. What I was saying earlier was that I'm really tired today because I've done too much over the last few days and my whole body is in pain. My whole body aches. It hurts. I feel like I did a really heavy day in the gym yesterday. Only I haven't been to a gym. So it's just, I just feel exhausted, to be honest. Physically, I'm knackered. Just because I've been doing so much stuff in the house, I think, with the decluttering and everything that I've been doing. This bit of the tree goes up here. There's bits of greenery that comes down here. Goes behind that blob of snow. We have this big branch that comes out over here, and we have these bits that come down here. Okay. This is a little bit of snow, but it has a little bit of green just peeking over the top. That's underneath. These are blobs of snow that go either side. Those are sticks. This is the Chromium Green Opaque, and I'm just sort of using this as my base undercolor. This isn't the only green that I'm using. I use lots of different greens here, but I'm just using this as my base undercolor. So I have a brief idea of where all the greenery is going to be, and then I can go in later and refine it. So for anyone who's worried about, oh, she's using the same green over and over, yes I am, but it is to just put in a base color. Morning, Faisal. How are you? Snow. That's a stick. This is currently in the airport waiting for your flight. Oh, okay. Have you got to fly far? How long is your flight for? I'm shattered. I am literally physically shattered. Oh, 2 hours. Oh, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Is that 2 hours to go home or 2 hours because you're going somewhere else? Yeah, I'm going to have a lazy day today. And I was just telling everybody we are at a lovely -3. We're at -3 today, temperature wise, but we're going to have a high this afternoon of 4 degrees Celsius. So, you know, we'll be out enjoying the sun. You're going on a work trip until Friday. Okay. Oakley dokely. Right, this is greenery. Then we have a big chunk of snow over here, so let's just go around here. This bit is under the snow. You get to travel so much. I think it's, mind you, I know you said that you picked the jobs so that you could get to travel and see places. That's really good. Hopefully I don't melt with the heat. Well, you know, we Brits, we struggle on with, you know, with the heat that we have to deal with. Oh my goodness. I don't know what it is about these really freezing cold temperatures, but we're having a lot of foxes come into the garden, and I don't know if they're sort of like because the ground has got really hard and solid, and so they're really struggling to find the food that they would normally eat, so they're coming further into the urban areas to try and find the food, because it's winter and everything's so frozen. I don't know, but they seem to be getting braver. We've been here for, we came here in 2005. So in nearly 19 years, I've never seen foxes. But this year, I have seen more foxes than I've ever seen in 19 years. Well, in this past week, I've seen more foxes than I've ever seen in 19 years. So, you don't like office jobs? No. No, neither do I. I had one office job. Well, I say office, it wasn't really an office, it was in a call centre that I really liked. And not because of the job itself, but literally because of the people who I was sat opposite from. So we sat in like a little, not a cubicle of 4, but there was a partition between us that was just sort of here, so you could just see the other person's eyes on the other side, and my computers would be here, and they would be facing me, and their computers would be there, and we could literally just see each other's eyes. And the guy opposite me, his name was Alan, and he was so funny. He was such a funny guy. He was a little bit older than me, and he spent most of his life in the army, and when he'd come out of the army, he'd got quite bad PTSD, and so he was looking for a job that he could do that was quite, you know, no loud noises, things like that, and just something that he could just, he was a people person. He liked dealing with people, and so he got himself this job. And we both started at the same time, and so we were literally sat opposite each other. And he made that job worthwhile going at it. On the days where I was like, oh, you know, I don't feel very well, do I really want to go in today? I was like, do you know what, I'll go in because I know the person who will get me through it is Alan. And he just used to make me laugh so much. The faces he would pull while he was listening to someone, you know, moan and complain, because we were working for an energy company, and I won't say which one, and we were on a team called Priority Services. So we dealt with people who, if you were on benefits, or if you had like mental health difficulties or physical difficulties, or if you needed your electricity to never be cut off because you had medical machinery in your house that was keeping you alive, then we dealt with that group of people. And it was such a good job, literally, because of Alan. I don't know how it would have been if I'd not been paired with him. If I'd have just been sat with anybody else, it would have been, I don't know, probably a normal run-of-the-mill boring job. But I was only there for about 18 months before I left to do something else. But he was leaving too, because he was retiring. He'd got to that age, because obviously I said he was older than me, and he was leaving too. And I was like, oh my god, this job is going to be horrible without you here. What am I going to do? And in the end I was just like, you know what, no, sod it. I'm not sitting here any longer listening to people complain and moan to me all day long, because it's depressing, and you can only take so much, I think, when you have headphones on from 9 in the morning till 5:30 in the evening, and it's one phone call after another, and there was never a break because there was always people calling in, and it was just complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint, people calling you all the names under the sun because they weren't happy with the company, but you were the person that got the brunt of it because you were the one that answered the phone. So yeah, that stopped me wanting to do office jobs. Co-workers can make a boring job entertaining. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Right, this is a big dollop of snow. This bit above it is green. Let me have a little bit. No. This is a big dollop of snow. We've got some green here in the background. This has got snow. Almost looks like a hand, that. Oh, we've got another tree there. I didn't spot that. Okay. So that's the big dollop of snow. Let me just take This to me is the scary bit, I have to say. This to me is the real sort of scary bit that I'm doing. Just sort of trying to... There's a really... Oh gosh. Let me reorient myself. So we have this bit here. We have this bit coming under here. And we have some branches coming down, which I didn't mark in. Okay. There's a little bit going up. This bit here is green. This bit here is the top of the snow. It needs a little green background. This is all green. Trees are complicated. trees are very, very complicated. It's blobs of snow. What's this bit down here? That's a little bit green there. Is this stick or snow? That's snow. So that must be green. Right, okay. Now I've put the green in, I'm sort of just gonna leave that for a bit while I just focus back on this tree. Rosie's barking. Yesterday when I was on the stream and I was like, oh, Rosie's barking, what's she barking at? It was literally foxes were back in the garden and she was going bonkers over it. But I finally let Badger out again this morning because his wound on the side of his face, his abscess that he'd had healed over really, really well, and he hadn't been out for a week because we were told to keep him in for a week until it had healed, and I was just like, do you know what, he can go out now. And he was so happy, his little face. He saw me coming towards him and he was like, oh god, here she comes. Probably thought I was about to give him some treatment or something, which is normally what happens when I approach him. But I opened the window for him to go out and you could almost see this little look on his face as if to say, really? Really? You let me out? Okay, bye! And then he was gone. It's kind of cute, really. Right, okay, let me move my greens away. There's a little bit of burnt sienna at this bottom bit here. Just a tiny bit. And I need a dark grey for some of these. It's like little lines. Just trying to put in these lines so they're kind of random and not get like a repeating pattern. Let's get that up so you can see closer what I'm doing, just sort of like just duplicating those lines a little bit, and it just sort of helps with adding that feeling of there's a circular edge and there's depth, so it's not just a flat tree on a page. You can actually see the curve and what's the word? Can't think of the word. My brain's gone to it. Being physically exhausted seems to affect my mental capacity to find the correct words. But right, so this tree has much deeper lines in it. But I'm going to put in a base layer of the warm grey too. First. I'm just sitting here trying to think if there's any funny stories I can tell you from my time at the call centre. And the only one I can think of is there used to be people that would phone up regularly, and whether it was because they lived alone and they were lonely and didn't have anyone to talk to, I don't know if that was the situation, but in every job there are people who become frequent flyers. And there was this one guy that we were warned about before we started taking calls, because we did like a month or so of training before we were let loose on live phone calls and things. But we were told in the training of this one particular guy who would ring up to complain about anything. And I remember receiving one of his calls once, and he was ringing up because someone had walked past his house with a dog, and the dog had decided to go to toilet there. Not a wee, the other one. And he was ringing up to complain. And I can just remember saying, well, Mr. Whatever his name was, let's call him Mr. Smith. Well, Mr. Smith, unfortunately, that doesn't really fall under our remit. We're an energy company, and we cannot control who walks by your house and allows their dog to go to toilet. So then he started to say that this person who walked past his house, he knew worked for our company, and that they must have brought their dog into work. So what was I going to do about it? And he was asking that someone come to his house and clear up the dog poo from outside the front of his house. And I just had to keep saying, I'm really sorry. Snow. I'm really, really sorry, Mr. Smith, but I'm afraid no one's going to be coming out to the front of your house to clear up this mess. And he was getting really angry with me on the phone. He was getting really, really, really cross because he felt like he wasn't being heard. And so I just let him rant. I just let him rant for a long, long time, because a lot of time people just want to be heard, right? They just want to have their say. But unfortunately, the company that I worked for, they also had a monitoring system. So they would, there was a team of, what I would say, quality control people who would randomly listen in to certain calls. And if you were on a call for an incredibly long time, they would be able to come in onto your computer screen and send up a private message and say, you really need to end this call now. You've been on the phone for XYZ minutes and you need to move on and go on to another customer because we've got so many in the queue, blah, 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 blah. And I can remember I was letting him rant, and he'd been ranting to me for about 35 minutes. And I got one of these messages up on the screen saying, you need to end this call. And so I kept trying to end this call with Mr. Smith. And I did. I ended the call. Sort of took a breather, had a bit of a stretch, sort of think, right, okay, I'm going to make myself a cup of tea in a minute. And went back onto the phones, took maybe 3 other calls, and then the phone rang again, and I answered it, and it was Mr. Smith again. And he wanted to know if someone was coming to his house. And it was just, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, I'm just going to have to escalate your call and pass you on to a manager because we've already dealt with this situation and I've already told you, blah, 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 blah. Ah, dearie me. It was difficult. But bless them, there was a lot of people like that. Oh, this is a bit more difficult, having such a much wider tree with much darker marks in it. shading to it. Let's put some of that in, just to distinguish it from the tree behind. Who knew trees would be so hard? I thought animals would be the hardest thing to draw, with fur and scales and feathers and skin. Turns out it's trees. Need to sort of give it a little bit of a knobbly edge, because it's very much, this tree is in the foreground while these ones, that one and that one, and obviously this one, are in the background. Just want to make it look more natural. How's it looking? Yep, okay. Right, now I need my burnt sienna, because there is a lot of brown in this wood as well. dark brown. So where's the burnt umber? Sort of go over those lines that I put in before, because they're quite dark, this tree. Using quite a sharp pencil for this bit. Just those lines that are just there, just sort of stay quite clean. Just darkening that edge of the tree again, just so it's right. I need to do something more with the greens on this tree now, so green that's closest to us. I just want to be a little bit brighter. Some of these pieces that are just a little bit further back, but just sort of where there's a bit more brightness on the source of light. Right, and I want the really dark green, so I'm going to use the Chrome Oxide green. Some of that. Just to sort of try and get the spiky edges. You don't just want where I've just made circular motions because this is quite spiky. Pine needles. just putting it in a different color as well also just gives it a little bit of extra depth. So where the pine needles sort of come towards us, you want to really sort of puff out those needles, and where it's flat, where it would be on what I would consider to be eye level, you don't need to puff it out as much. Because it would be on the same level plane. So, sort of trying to bear that in mind. Getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there. I need to sharpen my pencil. Always looks like there's an earthquake on the screen when I do that. I don't know what I'm going to do after this one. I think I might do, instead of starting something fresh for this week, I think I might just continue working on the crocodile. because I think I want my next piece to be maybe ink. But I haven't decided what. So we shall see. Right, I think that's where I'd better leave it today. Need to get in the blobs of snow. Need to get in that little tree there. But there is some. This line doesn't need to be there. So I think the rest of this picture I will probably finish off stream, because the only thing that really needs filling in, apart from this tree, is all the snow, and that's going to be a lot of very light greys and whites and pale blues. And you're not really going to be able to see anything because the overhead lights that I have on for me to be able to see what I'm doing sort of bleaches out you seeing that colour being done. So I think I will finish this picture off stream. It will take me a few days because that's an awful lot of snow. And when it's done, then I will show you what it looks like with the snow on, and you'll probably say, I can't see any difference, Nicolette, but I'll be able to see it in person. But yeah, so I think tomorrow I'm going to call this done for this stream. I'm going to finish off, like I say, all the snowy bits, and then I think tomorrow we will just work on the crocodile until the crocodile is finished. And you're welcome, Faisal. And I will have to decide what I'm doing next, because I haven't quite decided. I think I'd quite like to do a fantasy figure in ink. I don't know whether to try and emulate something that I saw in that new art book that I've got, or whether to spend some time designing something of my own, but that would take a lot of designing and a lot of days. So I think I'll work on the crocodile from tomorrow, even though it's normally just our Friday project, and we'll just see where we go from there. But anyway, thank you for joining me today. Really, really appreciate it. Faisal, have a safe flight, and I will see you all tomorrow. So take care, everybody. Have a good day. Bye.